Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're jumping right into a masterclass on a psychology that completely flips everything you know about success totally upside down. I mean, we're constantly told that to achieve greatness, we've got to shout our goals from the rooftops, outwork literally everyone in the room, and just grind until we absolutely drop, right? But the source material we're looking at reveals a completely different, totally hidden framework. It's called the silent architecture of abundance.
So let's look at the stark contrast here between the exhausting noise of modern hustle culture and this much more restful framework. Look, society preaches this frantic struggle, constant broadcasting on social media, and honestly, inevitable burnout. But this paradigm, it suggests that lasting prosperity doesn't come from forcing outcomes at all. It actually comes from silence, aligning with natural rhythms, and, get this, doing your absolute most important work while you're fast asleep. To really make sense of this dense and fascinating philosophy, we're going to break it down into 5 undeniable laws of abundance. We'll be walking through the rule of silence, the nightly mind workshop, the magnetic rhythm, the law of circulation, and finally, the mirror of belief. All right, so let's dive into law number 1, the rule of silence, and exactly why wealth is cultivated in the quiet. Our source makes an incredibly powerful claim here. Prosperity literally hates noise. Think about it. When you have a new idea or a massive goal, your very first instinct is probably to text your friends, post it online, and get that hit of immediate validation. But the text argues that by doing that, you're actually leaking the vital energy you need to make that goal a reality. Because when you tell people about your plans, you are inviting the highly contagious disease of their disbelief into your own head. You try to explain a fragile new idea, they ask skeptical questions, and suddenly, you start doubting yourself. And even worse, just talking about your plans tricks your brain into feeling like you've already achieved something. You're basically treating the really difficult work of execution for the cheap, temporary thrill of an illusion. And this is exactly why titans like Henry Ford and Thomas Edison used silence as a literal protective wall around their faith. When Ford was tinkering away in his shed, his neighbors relentlessly mocked him. But you know what? He didn't argue. He didn't try to convince them of his massive vision for the automobile. He just stayed completely silent until his results could do the talking for him. The takeaway here is absolutely clear. Let your success be your only announcement. Okay, moving on to where the real work happens. Not during the day, but at night. This is law number 2, the nightly mind workshop.
So, our source defines the mind as an invisible factory that never ever stops running, especially when your conscious mind finally goes to sleep. Think of your conscious mind as the management and your subconscious as the heavy machinery down on the factory floor. When management clocks out at night, that machinery keeps right on running, mass producing whatever blueprints management handed over right before walking out the door. Which means if you go to sleep stressing about your bills or your failures, your subconscious machinery spends 8 solid hours manufacturing more anxiety and more limitations. Instead, the text strongly advises a strict pre-sleep routine to plant seeds of wealth. You have to consciously drop your fears, plant a very specific seed of gratitude, and then just surrender your unresolved problems to your deeper mind to figure out while you rest. This is a real game changer. Andrew Carnegie literally built his steel empire using this exact nightly routine to connect with a higher intelligence. He wouldn't stay up all night agonizing over his business problems. Instead, he'd write down exactly what he needed to solve, hand it over to his subconscious mind, and go to sleep peacefully. And very often, he would wake up with the exact solution clear as day in his mind. He let his mind work for him, not against him. Once that seed is planted, we arrive at the third law, the magnetic rhythm, which is all about aligning your pace with the natural order of things. Look, there is a massive difference between frantic struggle and moving in perfect magnetic rhythm with the universe's natural timing. So many of us want our results yesterday, right? We force, we push, we panic. But nature doesn't rush, and yet everything gets accomplished. Trusting the process definitely doesn't mean being lazy. It means taking focused action without that toxic energy of desperation. Demanding premature results from your goals is literally like uprooting a seed. It destroys the rhythm entirely. If you plant a seed on Monday, you aren't going to dig it up on Wednesday just to see if it has roots. That would kill it. Yet that is exactly what we do with our goals when we obsess over why we aren't successful yet. You just have to trust that massive, unseen progress is happening beneath the surface exactly when it's supposed to. And that brings us to our fourth law, which completely redefines how you interact with resources, the law of circulation.
Hoarding money out of fear actually stops the flow of abundance, exactly like holding your breath suffocates you. The source material views wealth as an energy, a current. If you try to hold your breath to save your oxygen, well, you're going to pass out. Oxygen only sustains you when it flows in and out. Money and value work the exact same way. When you hoard resources out of terror that you'll run out, you effectively block the universe from sending you more. When you circulate wealth, goodwill, or service joyfully, it returns to you multiplied. Now, the key word here is absolutely joyful. If you pay a bill and curse the fact that you lost that money, you are sending out a frequency of lack. But if you give, whether that's paying for a service, helping a friend, or investing, with the joyful knowledge that money is an infinite resource, it completes the cycle and flows right back to you. Industrialists like John D. Rockefeller meticulously managed this flow. He knew wealth is an energy meant to be circulated, not stagnated. He didn't just throw money away recklessly, though. He organized it. He understood that strategic, purposeful giving was just as important to the health of his empire as his actual income. He never let fear freeze his assets. He kept the current moving, and that allowed his wealth to continually multiply. Finally, we reach the ultimate test of this whole philosophy, the mirror of belief. This is where your internal work meets your external reality. So, if the world is a perfect, flawless mirror of your internal state, what exactly are you projecting into it? The source insists that the world never gives you what you want, it gives you what you are. If you're constantly encountering people who disrespect you or situations that endlessly frustrate you, the text challenges you to stop blaming the mirror. You can't change a reflection by attacking the glass, right? You have to change the person standing in front of it. And by following these steps, you stop trying to break the mirror and start changing the reflection from within. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance. Imagination lets you design the new blueprint. Repetition programs that blueprint into your subconscious machinery. And forgiveness? Wow, that's the most powerful of all. Holding on to anger and resentment is like breathing fog onto the mirror. It distorts everything. Forgiving others clears the glass so your true abundance can finally reflect back at you. Leaders like George Washington and Abraham Lincoln mastered their inner mirrors first. They projected a quiet authority and forgiveness that literally changed nations. Lincoln was actually famous for writing furious letters to his generals when they made mistakes, but he would never send them. He wrote them just to get the resentment out of his own mind, to clear his internal mirror so he could continue to lead from a place of unshakable peace. They mastered the internal, and the external world had absolutely no choice but to reflect it. Which brings us to the single most critical number in this entire masterclass: 5 minutes. The entire philosophy we've explored today really hinges on the tiniest fraction of your day. Knowing that those last 5 minutes dictate your tomorrow, how are you going to spend them? In noise and worry, or in silence and abundance? Are you going to take your phone to bed, doom scroll through the world's anxieties, and program your subconscious for fear? Or are you going to embrace the rule of silence? Plant a seed of gratitude, trust the magnetic rhythm, and let your mind build your prosperity while you sleep. The architecture is right there, waiting for you. You just have to quietly step into it.